Okay, good evening. We were waiting for all of we have a little echo, so we're taking care of that. We were waiting to try to get everybody a quorum, and we do have a quorum, so I'm going to go ahead and start. But I have to say, I feel really lonely here, but welcome all of you online. So thank you for participating in our monthly meeting of the Kitsap County Parks Advisory Board. This meeting is being held in person and remotely via Zoom. Before we begin, here are some guidelines and general instructions for the meeting. Please silence your other communication devices such as your cell or desk phone. This will ensure that we are not hearing any feedback or causing interruption during the meeting. Members of the public attending on Zoom, except for board members and county staff, will be placed on mute by the host. The chair will announce opportunities for public comment, which are included on the meeting agenda. Please adhere to the speaker time limit. For those on Zoom, if you would like to make a public comment, please click on the raised hand feature to signal that you would like to comment during the public comment period. You will be unmuted. Please announce your name before speaking. For those calling in using the phone line only who wish to comment, dial *9 on your keypad to signal that you would like to comment. Please announce your name before speaking. All right. So let's do a welcome and introductions. I'm Dawn Doctor, South Kitsap, District 2. Let's go ahead to our Park Advisory Board members online. Linda?
Linda Berry Murray, District 1, North Kitsap.
Jessica?
Hi, I'm Jessica Rice with South Kitsap.
Jen?
Hi, Jen Skalbeck here, representing District 1, North Kitsap as well.
And Larry?
Hi, Larry Walker here, South Kitsap. I'm minimizing bandwidth, so you're not going to have to look at my ugly face tonight.
And did we have Lisa on the phone?
He's there. He sent a request to promote, but it's not working.
Okay. Lisa was, oh, maybe I'm seeing her now. Are you able to unmute and talk to us, Lisa?
Hello. Hello.
Hi, we can hear you now. Would you introduce
Okay,
yourself?
sorry. Yeah, I'm on this. Yeah, I'm having trouble. So anyway, hello, Lisa Hurt, North Kitsap. I'm just going to listen to the meeting. So I'm signing out, or I'll just listen.
Okay.
Okay.
Does that still count as a fifth person?
Well,
We
I'm
have
here,
6.
but
okay, 6. All right, we're good. We're
yeah.
still quorum. Okay. All right, next on the agenda is the adoption of the February 18, 2026 meeting minutes. As chair, I'm supposed to keep a kind of a level playing field and not take sides or anything. I do have several comments I would like to make about minutes tonight. And normally I would recuse myself and let another member take over so that I'm not swaying people as chair. But since we have nobody in the room, what do you recommend? I just keep chair, or would Jessica, or let's see, Jan, you're my vice chair, correct? Who is vice chair? Jessica? Okay, sorry. Jessica, would you like to preside over the meeting minutes for me?
Yeah, I can. Yes, I can do that.
I would appreciate that. So,
yeah, so is there a discussion on the meeting minutes?
I have a comment about the date. They say 2025 I know it's early in the year, so we should just correct those to 2026 so that if somebody's looking at them down the line. And there was a email that came out. Is that correct? It was shared with everybody. Has everybody had a chance to read that?
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to bring up again my concern as public comment being recorded as part of the Park Advisory Board meeting minutes. I have a strong opinion that meeting minutes should record the actions of the board and not what even the board says. It's what our actions are. And this comes from Robert's Rules of Order. They've been around for a long time, and there's some really good reasons for doing that. And one of them is just trying to go back and find information. You usually need to know what actions the board took. One of my main concerns, though, about us including comments is at our last meeting, well, we typically sometimes have large numbers of people. And if we write large comments, it takes up a lot of space. And these comments are often emotionally charged. And I know for myself, even when I'm reading a comment, I often will not read it verbatim. I get nervous and it doesn't always come across as I expect or intend. And I have a concern that we're expecting our office support specialist who takes our meeting minutes is then put in the position of needing to, in some cases, interpret what was said. I can say, a comment, and it can mean one thing or another depending on where you put a comma or the emphasis on words. And now that we have the repository of video, the community can actually go online and see our comments from the community and watch them, see the emotion, the emphasis that's put, the topics that were covered without it being distilled through somebody else. So I did not print out my notes tonight, sorry, in my rush, but I want to say that me personally, I do not want to change the meeting minutes that request by Beverly Parsons that was put out. My main reason is because after the last meeting, I walked away with the feeling that she had stated that Kitsap Environmental Coalition was advocating for the closure of the Ranger Corridor. That's what I then read as being reflected in the meeting minutes. And the comment that came across from Beverly and the request to change some or add some additional information regarding what her comments were, I'm afraid that we would be setting a precedence going forward that if somebody doesn't like the way something looks in print, that we need to discuss it and change it. We need to go back and look at the video to verify what was changed. And I don't feel our meeting minutes should be doing that. And I don't feel that as a volunteer, I want to take my time to try to interpret correctly in a public forum what somebody is saying to me, because I may take it a little differently from somebody else. So my feeling is that I would not like to include those comments or changes from Beverly Parson as part of our comments. And I also don't want to come back and, try to make sure we treat every comment the same. So I would like to make a motion eventually, possibly, that we discuss later after we approve our minutes.
Linda, go ahead.
Don, I can understand this is, a little awkward here, and it's especially bad luck that we've got the majority of the board here remote on this topic, and that you're the only one there in person. So I'm wondering if what we might be able to do is not adopt the minutes for the February meeting today and schedule an opportunity for us to discuss this in person at the next meeting on whether or not to take action, because I think that's a pretty significant step. And I'm not sure that tonight's the time to take action on it. And I do see that Larry's raising his hand.
Larry, what would you like to say?
I was just going to agree with Linda. I think yeah. Do we have a motion on the floor right now? No motion. I would move then that we hold off on approving the minutes until next meeting.
So
I would
we currently have a motion on the floor to approve the minutes, and our discussion was towards that motion. So I would assume we then vote on it, right?
Do we
Or-
have a motion? I don't think we have a motion on the floor, do we?
Okay.
No.
I would like, personally, I think we should approve our minutes in some form or another. But I do feel that holding off on my particular motion that I want to discuss should be thought about over the next month. But I'm willing to defer to whatever the board chooses to do.
So Larry, so there is no motion on the floor, and then you just did a motion to hold on approving the minutes, correct?
That's affirmative. It has not been seconded yet.
But Jen has her hand up.
Jen, go
I
ahead.
was not going to second, actually. I was going to ask Dawn a question. Is the concern, do you want to stop doing any edits to the public comment, or would you prefer that public comment just not be recorded in the meeting minutes altogether? I would just like to clarify what the goal is.
I personally feel that anybody who has something printed in our minutes should have the opportunity to edit. And I believe there is precedence with the state that members can submit requests just like Beverly did. We discuss them as a board and we choose to or not to include those. But I am concerned that it will take a lot of our board's time and energy if we've already had to deal with it 2 meetings in a row. And if we edit, have to interpret and have people come back each time, I'm just really concerned that it will be a waste of our time when it would be much better served if the community could go and see those public comments in person versus how we distill them in our. Does that answer your question?
I think so. I'm just looking for a way forward. Personally, I think we should just include the names of everyone who comments and leave it at that, and leave the recording for folks to go look at the comments. Or if people really care what is being said and how it's represented, then they could submit a written comment, and that could be, easily referenced and linked from the records. So that would be how I would view a way forward. Like, let's just cut the comments altogether, list the names, and provide links to the written comments if those are submitted.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Jen. I like that I was literally thinking the same thing, because it's funny because we were trying to find a way to be able to capture those comments. And now that the meetings are on video that anyone can go see,
Exactly.
I feel like it's redundant to have to put it in the minutes as well. So, okay, so are we going to?
I do think that, at least for today, I don't think there's anything imperative adopting these minutes. And since we have people objecting to changes, I was going to go ahead and second Larry's motion that we hold off on adopting the February minutes tonight. So I'm seconding his motion.
Okay, so all in favor of holding off on approving the meeting minutes for February tonight and carrying it over until our next meeting in April. Raise your hand if you say aye.
Well, since I'm not on video, Larry Walker says aye.
Okay. I
Linda
can't
says aye.
see the other people, so you guys have to tell me whether. So we have three, me, Linda. I couldn't see
Linda's
Jen.
yes.
So
Yep, Jen.
Jen was a yes.
Correct.
Dawn, were you a yes?
No, I was not a yes.
Okay, so we've got 4 yeses, and so that then it's approved.
Passed. Yes.
It's passed. Yep. Sorry, it's passed. Okay,
Thank you.
Dawn, back to you.
Thank you, Jessica. Sorry,
You're
I
welcome.
kind of sprung this on you at the last minute. I know it
I'm
came
sorry
quick
I'm not
and
there.
yeah, yeah. So we do have our moving forward. We have a public comment period, 3-minute time limit per person, and I would like to start with those of you in the room. Casey.
My name is Casey Patton. I'm with the Kitsap Aircraft Radio Control Society. And a couple of weeks ago, Bree and the maintenance people were out there correcting a problem with our roadway. They were able to go ahead and dig a ditch, and this will hopefully prevent people from vandalizing our flying site. And then last Wednesday, we had a graduation ceremony for the EAA Young Eagles. And we had 6 members show up, and they were able to go ahead and display their airplane. And now we're waiting for good weather to be able to take them out there and let them maiden their airplane and try to fly the airplane that they made. So thank you very much for everybody's cooperation.
Thank you, Casey. And do I have someone else from?
Hello, my name is Bradley Barry. I'm here for myself, but also on behalf of Evergreen Mountain Bike Alliance Board for West Sound Chapter, Veteran Affairs for Veterans in Mountain Biking, Infinity Cyclery Local Bike Shop, and many other outreach groups for youth in the North Kitsap Squamish tribe. So I'm here specifically for the comment you were referencing, Beverly, and many others that had very negative things to say about the impact on Port Gamble Heritage Park. And I didn't have time to get a lot of numbers, factual documents here to show you, but I can tell you numbers off the top of my head, the thousands of volunteer hours donated by local groups for conservation efforts, for trying to maintain the presence of the forest around the mountain biking trails to make everyone accepted in the park, from disabilities to children, women. There's more work done there than you can see kind of in passing as someone flies by you on a bike. That's not a representation of the ecosystem that's being built up there. This speaks globally because, I mean, some of us can attest. You ever heard of a company called Red Bull that's now sponsoring events out there, do the outreach from Evergreen Mountain Bike Alliance through other paid events that bring money into this community and awareness. So sorry, I also don't usually sound like this. I'm a little, it's a passion project for those of us in the game. I'm a hiker, runner, cyclist. So it's not just like mountain bikers against the world. I just know specifically mountain bike groups donate a lot of time, money, and energy in this park and many other parks across the state. Separating trails for single use does not fix these kind of problems. It's shared respect amongst communities is what fixes these problems. And you can't get that without collaborating and outreach programs to get people working together. So wedging people apart is not fixed here. So I would encourage anybody before they make decisions on limiting a park that's growing globally, the Red Bull athletes alone that are coming here multiple times a year now it's enough reason to look at growing parks like these, not shrinking them. Finding ways to work with communities to make it more accessible and more respectful to the community around them. It benefits everyone financially and just health-wise, just getting out and enjoying nature. We live in a great place. So I guess that's all, unless you have questions for me.
Thank you, Bradley. I appreciate the idea of shared respect from everybody. Did I have somebody else?
Good evening. My name is Paul Clar, 30-year Navy veteran, professional bicycle mechanic. I work at Infinity Cyclery in Paulsville. And along the same lines as what Bradley's saying, I think we need to work together and not exclude any one group. I think some people may not be aware that mountain biking isn't just the logging roads and the ride part. Mountain biking is trails climbing up to the ride park. There are multiple types of disciplines in mountain biking. There's downhill mountain biking. There's dirt jumping. There's park riding. There's cross country. There's enduro. There's so many. You know, I consider myself a cyclist. I road bike and I mountain bike. But I'm kind of one of the weird ones that likes to crawl up and, you know, taking challenging trails that's physically and technically challenging is part of mountain biking. So if we're going to consider cordoning off certain trails for certain groups, you know, mountain biking or the mountain bikers is a varied group of people, all different disciplines within there. So I'd, again, you know, along with Bradley, we want to work together to make sure that all can use that. Hikers, equestrians, mountain bikers, you know, gravel riders, all that. And just another sort of an aside, I did some research and a year ago, March of 25, the Trust for Public Land did wrote a document, economic benefits of mountain biking. Mountain biking is spreading across the United States, and it's a good. It brings money into the community. It makes the community known. This is publicly available, and I think that not just the you know, the weekends when these people are coming from out of town to use the bike park. It's during the week as well. We're a bike shop that caters mostly to mountain bikes, mostly to mountain bikers. The guys that started the shop are definitely mountain bikers, but we work on everything. I think, you know, more than half of the stuff I work on is the old beat up bike in the garage that somebody just wants to fix up to go ride for the summer. Okay. If we don't have mountain bikes in my shop though, I can tell you it's going to hit the business pretty hard. And so many people enjoy having a mom and pop, independently owned bike shop. We develop relationships with these folks that it would impact, could impact the livelihood of the bike shop itself. So again, we want to work together with folks, and I would just caution also that if there's anything, if comments are made, I would like to see evidence of those comments, whether it's reports, you know, with names and stuff that can be verified. You know, it's not make decisions in a vacuum or hear arguments that are from silence, really. So that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. And are there others in the room? Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Skyer. I live here in Silverdale, my wife and 2 kids. I just wanted to add to what these guys are saying about mountain biking, but maybe through a different lens. I think it's, you know, it's easy to talk about the numbers and you know, we often talk about tourism dollars and physical health benefits and environmental impacts through forest preservation. But I kind of wanted to talk about some of the things that are a little bit harder to measure when it comes to mountain biking and mountain bike trails. The first is that trails are, it's so hard to put into words, and this is going to sound a little cheesy, but they are just, you know, an engine for pure joy. I can't put it any better than that, but they just bring so much happiness to people. If you haven't been out to Port Gamble and been to the ride park on the weekend, please go for it. Like take the opportunity to go see people and how much fun they're having out there. From all walks of life, all ages, young to old. I've met people out there that have come from everywhere. The other thing I wanted to talk about, mention, is that our trails are, honestly, they're a catalyst for connection, for meeting new people, for bringing people together. I've met people from every walks of life. I've taught classes out there, mountain biking classes. I've met surgeons, I've met students, I've met mechanics, I've met parents and young children. Those trails just bring so many people together. But it's hard to capture those experiences, right, and put numbers behind them. So, like I said, I would encourage folks to go out there and just see the outsized impact that Port Gamble's trails, including the mountain bike trails, have on our community. The last thing I wanted to say is that I'm just really, really thankful that we have those trails, the Port Gamble Ride Park and the Ranger Corridor. Those types of trails and the opportunities that they present to us don't exist anywhere else in Kitsap County. If not for those trails, we would have to literally drive somewhere to go either to Issaquah or Bellingham or somewhere like, 90 minutes away to get that type of riding. So it's pretty amazing that we have some world-class trails in our backyard. And I would just want to express my deepest gratitude for those trails, and also really encourage people to think before cutting any of those, especially the Ranger Corridor. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
How you guys doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, could you tell us your name? And
My name's Dewey.
Dewey.
Boy, this mountain biking, that's a hot topic. Try 360 trails out in Gig Harbor. I don't think we have those problems. Man, last time I called in, it was a bunch of people calling about these mountain biking and trails. But I'm here about another situation here. I gotta put my glasses on, sorry. I called in on 1/21/26 and never heard anything from anybody because I had a problem at Horseshoe Lake. I'm here to understand why I was banned from Horseshoe Lake for 1 year after an incident where I was actually the one being harassed. While I was at the lake, a group of kids and adults surrounded me, calling me names and threatening me bodily harm. I raised my voice and defended myself because I was trying to protect myself from being hurt, yet I was the one that ended up being punished. According to the police report, the reason given for the ban was that I was loud and obnoxious, but that's what described that way was simply me defending myself so I wouldn't get hurt. There was also a 911 caller who reported that a mob of people was harassing me and the girl in the group was the main aggressor. One of the individuals involved was reportedly on home monitoring and should not have even been at the lake at all. I sent this information to Alex, but he did not take it or any of the other information that my mother and I provided into consideration. I tried to resolve this issue with Alex, but he relied solely on the police report and did not review the other evidence before deciding the ban on me. I'm not even sure why or if he's even qualified to make what is essentially a judgment affecting someone's rights without reviewing all the available facts. I feel this should be a case that a judge should be deciding decision whether I should be banned or not. I would like someone to explain how this kind of decision can happen. I'm 55 years old and have no criminal record of any kind. I also believe the officer involved may have been biased. After all, the officer reportedly told a firefighter that he wished he would drove around the block a few times so I would got my ass kicked. I don't understand why a police officer and a firefighter would hope that a citizen would get his ass kicked by a group of people. From my understanding, I have a right to defend myself when people are threatening bodily harm, harassing me, or trying to intimidate me to leave. I also attempted to handle this through the proper channels. It took months to get in contact with Alex about the issues. And when I finally did, he relied only on the police report without considering any additional information that was provided. That does not seem fair or right. We have a right in this country for a reason. If someone on the panel can explain whether Alec is trained or authorized to make decisions like this and why all the available evidence was not reviewed before banning me for a year, I greatly appreciate it. Why I'm trying to do this here is to clear my name and have someone take a fair look at the case and all the evidence so I can have my rights restored and be able to go to the lake if I choose not to. Or that's pretty much it. I want to know why such a vital thing like the 14th Amendment of right to be in a place and I get banned from it and it wasn't really taken into consideration. So if someone can get back to me on that, I appreciate it. Like I said, I tried on the 121 and no one contacted me, but surely all I'm trying to do is just get my rights back at the lake. Just cause, I mean, I'm a US citizen. I feel like it's a right that I should be able to have. And I don't think I was treated fairly. So if anybody, I don't care anybody on this board or anything. I know I tried to talk to Alex and he refuses to talk to me. So if someone could get back to me, I appreciate it.
Thank you for your comments, Dewey. Is there anyone else in the room who would like to comment? Okay.
Good evening. My name's John Rose. I live in Paulsbo. I have a PO box if you want it. I'm here to address a January letter from the Kitsap Environmental Council. And in particular, just to set some history straight on the creation of the heritage parks and how they came about. There's a statement KEC makes that the 3,300 acre park, the largest in the county, was created with a focus on conservation and natural preservation. That is absolutely not true. In 2005, I worked for Pope Resources, and Pope owned 8,000 acres in North Kitsap. And in 2005, I approached our CEO and I said, what do you think of the idea of approaching the public and seeing if they'd like to partner with us and create this heritage park system? There was no heritage parks in the North End at that point. In 2007, my staff and I conducted a meeting in Kingston. 550 people showed up. We made the offer. We're either going to sell out of the land or we will work with you to create the heritage park system and a system of trails and open spaces we called the String of Pearls. None of that existed before that meeting. That launched a huge idea and a huge movement. And in the ensuing months, we created the North Kitsap Trails Association, which is going strong today. And 30 organizations that never gave each other the time of day banded together to accomplish a miracle. And the last piece of that was the Divide property that GPC closed. And now today, North Kitsap is home to 5,000 acres of open space. 30 organizations banded together. Audubon was one of the organizations, environmental groups. Forterra led the fundraising. GPC was part of the fundraising, but also part of the fundraising was the Kitsap Economic Development Alliance. Also part of the fundraising were chambers of commerce, was Visit Kitsap, because this is also a changing Kitsap's economy up there in a big way and in a good way. At no time was the concept ever restricted to preservation of open space and preservation of a habitat. From the get-go, from the first meeting, this has all been about shared use, 100%. And the ensuing years, it took 18 years from 2007 until 2025. And me and my company stayed with it, with the community, to help GPC in the county raise the money, organize themselves, and create the biggest park system on the side of the water. And at no point were mountain bikers ever unwelcome, were users unwelcome. At no point were those users ever guilty of harassing people that help maintain weeds and cut brush, although those volunteers have been harassed. This is a place for people and nature. And without the recreation community, I would posit that no more than half of that park would have been created. If you like the size of the park, and if you think it's an amazing asset, and an amazing asset for the kids and families that absolutely are struggling to raise their children today, then you'll defend their use because they were a huge part of it. NKTA was a huge part of it. Audubon was a huge part of it. It was all about all user groups having a place, not just preservation. That was never, ever the goal in my mind, my CEO's mind, my board of directors mind, when they said yes to working for 18 years with you to create a gem for this community. But it's a gem for the whole community, not just a special few that don't like seeing people. So make sure you understand the history, because it wouldn't be here without recreation people. You wouldn't have that park. And the work these guys have put into it is unbelievable. Meanwhile, I haven't seen many environmental groups maintaining trash, clearing trails. I haven't seen anybody but recreation users doing that. We owe them a thanks, not a boot out the door. Thank you.
Thank you, John, for your comments. Is there anyone online who has a comment? Oh, we have one more. Okay.
Hi, I'm David Onset. I live in Port Orchard. I think many of us want to just have a shared environment in the parks. And we recognize that the ride park exists in Port Gamble Forest Heritage Park. I don't think anybody is suggesting that that be eliminated at this point. We think that huge amount of space is very adequate for the mountain bikers. And it's good that they have something in Kitsap County to take advantage of. I think many of us just want to have some space that is quiet and not having mountain bikers rush by us in bicycles. And so just like one type of mountain biker, we've just heard, one type of mountain biker may not want a different kind of mountain biker, like a rookie mountain biker not invade the territory of the experienced mountain biker, or a cross-country mountain biker not invade the space of a athletic jumper mountain biker. We want to have some space that is a pedestrian space, a typical hiker space. And so the Port Gamble Forest Heritage Park is big enough for everybody. And let's accomplish that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, nobody else in the room here. Online, is there anyone, Chuck? Okay, Mark.
Hi, my name is Mark Shorn. I was the past chair of the Port Gamble Stewardship Committee, and then also I was on the Port Gamble Heritage Park Fundraising Committee to raise money for the park, as well as on the Port Gamble Master Planning Committee. So I've been intimately involved in this park for a long time. I would just like to correct some of the misinformation that the KEC report in January stated. Some of it John Rose already commented on. First of all, the idea that this park was created with a focus on conservation and preservation is not true. It was created with the opportunity for recreation. A lot of the donors were recreation donors and bikers. So I just looked at the list today and I saw numerous big donors that gave because they bicycled there. So to take that away from them is really disingenuous. Secondly, to address the bullet point number 7, they wanted to have a transparent process with community input to plan the park. Well, that's already been done. We did a Port Gamble Heritage Park master plan 5 years ago, and that project involved thousands of hours of community engagement and input with a cost of $340,000. That sits on a shelf today because of a threat of legal action by KEC. So if you want transparent processes and they don't go your way, you can't just shut it down and say that didn't count. So I really wish we could get back to the adoption of that master plan, at least some of the conceptual framework. because that's been hamstringing us from developing hiking loops and other aspects of that plan that would be create a better experience for all user groups. Thirdly, the biggest environmental threat to the Port Gamble block is the continued logging. And we could all work together to raise money to buy the rest of the timber rights and use our time usefully instead of bickering against user groups. So I really advocate everybody to get together and help support the work that our forest fund is doing to secure the rest of the timber rights and decrease the remaining logging. So thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mark. And who else do we have? Marion Allen?
Hi, I'm Marion Allen. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Marion.
I am also a regular volunteer with the parks. I am here today in regards to Buck Lake Native Plant Garden in Hansville. I volunteer there fairly regularly, and it's a wonderful group, and I'm so happy to be involved with it. It's really a special place, and the feeling. So we had some discussions recently that people tend to come to the parking lot there and go, "What do I do now?" And so, talking with both Mary and Sherry and a number of the people there, we're really interested in having a nice sign that shows where the lake is, where the beautiful garden is, and where the trails are, so that people can just go directly there. And I know that they have even discussed that we have some money available that we could help help the park with that for pay for the sign. So I don't really know what the line of communication is with Buck Lake, if it's only to the trail users, or if there is a good line of communication with the people that volunteer at the garden. But Mary and Sherry, unfortunately, are not too much online. And so there really needs to be a contact, I think, so we can have some communication about what's happening at Buck Lake or what may happen at Buck Lake. So if that's possible, I'd like to see some more communication. And a couple of things I want to say regarding Port Gamble Forest is that it really does concern me that the bike riders think that there is no issue with the ranger corridor, and that they call themselves environmentalists and are not at all concerned that that is right in going through some wetland area, and really distressed me hearing both John and Mark say that they're not at all concerned with the environment, and that the environment is a healthy, clean environment for wildlife, for wetlands is important, and it helps us all. That should be all our main concern. But anyways, that's all I have to say for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Marion. And do we have another person? Steve Ruggiero? I hope I pronounced that right. Please pronounce your name when you come
You
on.
did better than most, Ruggiero. Thank you very much. Steve Ruggiero. And I am a Port Gamble resident and 30-year user of the park system up here. And I'd like to thank you and everybody else that collaborated to make this happen. I'm going to give you guys boots on the ground. Here's what I see in the park because I am in there every day. I can hike out my back door. I can go get chanterelles. I can go ride my mountain bike. I can go for a trail run. And you know what? I don't see what KEC has told you. But period. There are a lot of user groups out here. My wife and I'm 100 yards west of Butcher Baker Provisions, which is tempting for anybody that knows that. Here's what we see on a daily basis: hikers, dog walkers, trail runners, gravel grinders, mountain bikers, foragers, families on walks. When I see user group interaction, they're all positive. I read about unknown visitors afraid to come because of mountain bikers. Sounds pretty ominous, but it's actually anonymous. And they don't cite any specific examples. So what I see and hear are concerns without facts, fear without substance, and allegations without proof. I've read a lot of repetitive talking points that are low on facts and high on opinion. You'd swear there were motorcycle gangs out there terrorizing hikers and wildlife. I guess we should change the sign at the Ranger Trailhead lot and say, for user groups we like to, for user groups we like to enjoy, rather than for all to enjoy. Mountain bikers are not a disproportionate, nor are they a dominant part of the overall park. I'm in there every day. I heard that we had a huge part of the park, but the ride park itself is only 6.5% of the total park. Riders in both a paid and volunteer role perform 100% of the maintenance and upkeep for the trails in the ride park and the Ranger corridor. In their letter that I read on the 16th that was sent to the director and all the advisory board members, bikes cause erosion and damage trails. Of course they do. And our year-round work parties address it where we are allowed to. If you doubt this past Saturday, we had 56 volunteers, 56 from the Edmonds mountain bike team who contributed a total of 336 volunteer hours to tackle debris clearing, debris clearing and trail maintenance. Over half of them were under the age of 15. They weren't staring at their phones, and it gave them a sense of community, goodwill, and the satisfaction of seeing how pitching in can make a difference. You can't repeat that anywhere else. I'm here to say that the wildlife in the park remains alive and well, and they've been managing the ongoing logging operations, which, Mark indicated. I mean, that's had a huge impact on the park. But on a recent hike out our back door, since we live here, my wife observed bear, cougar, and deer prints near the ride park. Our feathered friends are thriving based upon daily observation. So in a response to their letter on the 16th, yeah, let's be transparent. Let's talk about the best direction for all user groups, none of whom are dominant, none of whom are scaring others away. Park management isn't the issue, which they tried to frame it. They were obliquely blaming one user group for this allegation. That's a poorly thought out tactic. The top complaint heard by Evergreen West Sound is, why doesn't anybody take care of the trails outside of the ride park? Clearly, maintaining the funding for trail maintenance and overall park health is a priority. There is a great team in place. They've kept the standard high. To me, it's a far better choice than cutting needed funding, eliminating historical park user activities, and ending up with 4,000 acres of Scotch broom and overgrown trails with little to no means or personnel to manage it. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. And who's up next? Matt Orlando.
Hi, everybody. Matt Orlando here from Evergreen Mountain Bike Alliance. Just wanted to share my experience over the last several years at the Port Gamble Ride Park. I started just over 5 years ago as a volunteer on Evergreen West Sound, and they brought me in with several others to decommission and reconstruct fully sanctioned trails. So the decommissioning was, at the time, there was rogue trails. and we were brought in to construct legitimate sanctioned trails by contract of Kitsap County Parks. And what we were able to create at the time, and to this day, is what I would argue is one of the most unique mountain bike experiences in Washington. It offers a wide variety of terrain, all in a very, very enclosed environment, so you can get a lot of really great variety in just a very short amount of time, and it allows users from beginner all the way up to professional to interact perfectly with one another. I've seen, kids as young as 5 years old riding in those trails, and just as elite as they could ever be come through those woods. And it's pretty incredible to see those types of users interact with one another. The project itself, I can't even go into all the detail, but it has really been super impactful for me personally. The community sense that has transpired just from that original project. I've met some of my closest friends and seen that happen countless of other times. The friendships that have spawned out of that small corridor of trees it brings a tear to my eye to think about that going away, on all the memories that have resulted. Initially, that project, I, along with several others, were volunteer, and it has progressed into now a job that several of us depend on. And it is, incredibly important for us, not just financially, but, from a passion side of things. It is a job that brings us great fulfillment and great joy to be able to provide recreation for our community. I know personally, and every one of my colleagues feels the same way. We all feel we have a civic duty to continue to work out there and maintain and spread joy. The thousands of riders that park sees, and the feedback that we get is just, it's enough to motivate us for lifetimes on lifetimes. I mean, it's a joy that I cannot express to you. And it breaks my heart to hear that there is a select few that want to see it go away. And in hearing this conversation, I see this as an opportunity to start to work together with them to find an area within the park that we can give them a place that they feel welcomed and feel that they have a space that's unique to themselves. As Steve just mentioned, the park is quite vast, and there's plenty of space to go around. And it feels like a massive step back to remove what is already quite special and unique for so many people. And I just hope that we can move forward positively from this. And I don't know what else to say. Just
well, thank you, Matt.
Really appreciate your time. Thank you.
And I want to also remind people that we do have a 3-minute limit. We don't totally enforce it, but if things go over too much, we may have to, because we do have lots of speakers. So please try to be mindful of the 3-minute limit. And who do we have up next, Chuck? Melinda?
Hello, I'm Melinda Wedgwood. I'm a resident of Poulsbo. I'm a regular visitor to Port Gamble Heritage Forest, and I read that letter from the Kitsap Environmental Coalition. I have some concerns about the characterization of cyclists and the intention of that organization to unbalance the rights of human visitors through their misrepresentation of park visitors through negative stereotype. They seem to be trying to convince you that all cyclists in the park are aggressive. I'm not seeing this on my regular rides. Who I see when I'm out riding in the day are old, skinny, white-haired men on simple bikes, not usually mountain bikes, who are meandering through the forest with a big old smile on their face. I also see a lot of senior citizen couples on touring bikes or middle-aged guys on gravel bikes dressed in their lycra. Me, I used to walk 8 miles a day, every day around Poulsbo. But thanks to severe osteoarthritis and multiple joints, I can no longer walk even a half mile. And good luck trying to get Kaiser to approve joint replacement for a terminal cancer patient. So I ride an e-bike, which allows me to exercise despite my disability. I actually have a mandate from my oncology team to get regular exercise out in nature. Potentially having my ability to use my trails at Port Gamble removed, especially the ones in the south end of the park, where I park at the new parking lot, that's pretty discouraging. Because one of the 3 cancers that I'm battling has left me blind in one eye, it's pretty important that I have a safe place to ride off-road. So this park is the perfect safe place for me. It's also pretty discouraging that these angry hikers want to shut cyclists out of the trails that aren't part of the ride park, that they want to ensure that the most lovely parts of the forest are only for them. I paint en plein air and take my watercolors and sketchbook out to those pretty parts of the forest. I can only get there by bike, as I already explained. I urge you to please spend the time at the park to conduct a survey of cyclists so you can see for yourselves who we really are and why it's important to give all people, even the wheeled ones, access to the trails, all the trails. Considering all that's going on in our country right now, this lack of acceptance of all kinds of people, as personalized by the coalition, is deeply concerning and out of step with our national values. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Melinda. Matt Blossom next. Are you there, Matt? Now you're muted. Can you unmute?
Hello.
Hello, Matt. We can
Oh,
hear you now.
sorry about that. My name is Matt Blossom, and I'm a Bainbridge Island resident, a Puget Sound native, a fifth generation Bainbridge Islander on both sides of my parents' family. My daughter represents the 6th generation, and she regularly enjoys Port Gamble Heritage Forest as an equestrian. I am writing to offer a local user-based perspective regarding recent comments submitted about the management of Port Gamble Heritage Forest. While I do not live in Port Gamble, I choose to spend a significant amount of time there. It's one of the most unique and valuable public assets in Kitsap County, and it continues to draw a wide range of users from across the region. What I consistently see is a diverse and respectful mix of people: hikers, trail runners, families, dog walkers, equestrians, and cyclists, all sharing and enjoying this space. From both personal experiences and my family's use of the park on foot, on bike, and on horseback, interactions between user groups are overwhelmingly positive. In particular, the relationship between mountain bikers and equestrian is often characterized by awareness, communication, and mutual respect. That reality is important to acknowledge as it does not always align with some of the concerns being presented. Because of that, I feel it is important to provide some grounded context to help inform this discussion. 1, user balance and park use. There is a narrative being presented that mountain bikers represent a dominant, disproportionate user group within the park. That has not been my experience. The ride park and ranger corridor itself represent a relatively small portion of the overall acreage, approximately 7%. Outside of that area, the park is actively used by a broad cross-section of the community. While any shared use environment can have occasional conflicts, I have not observed the level of frequency being suggested. More importantly, broad claims without specific examples and supporting data make it difficult to assess their accuracy or scale. 2, stewardship, maintenance, and partnership. A key strength of Port Gamble Heritage Forest is the level of stewardship taking place on the ground. The partnership between Kitsap County Parks and Evergreen Mountain Bike Alliance has resulted in a level of care, maintenance, and community engagement that would be difficult to replicate otherwise. Just this past weekend, 56 volunteers, many youth riders, from the Edmonds mountain bike team contributed over 300 hours towards debris removal and clearing of trails, including the Ewok Climb Trail. More broadly, this level of engagement is consistent year-round. In 2025 alone, volunteers contributed over 1,400 hours to trail work in the park, and in 2026 is already on pace to exceed 2,000. As of today, we have 817 hours already this year. That represents a significant investment of time and effort directly into the condition and sustainability of this park. Importantly, there is also continued willingness from community to do more. There has been ongoing offers to support maintenance and work parties outside of the Ride Park and Ranger corridor, where additional attention could benefit all users. This is not a user group that is simply recreating. This is a user group that is actively investing back into this park. Community and economic values. Port Gamble Heritage Forest has become a regional destination. Visitors are traveling to the area and contributing to local businesses, restaurants, lodging, and small town economies. Beyond the economic impact, the park plays an important role in public health and well-being. It provides a place for people of all ages to get outside, stay active, and build a connection to the outdoors. Wildlife and conservation. Wildlife continues to be present and active throughout the park. Observations of birds of prey, deer, and other native species remain common. At this time, it is important to consider the broader landscape context, including the ongoing forestry operations, when evaluating the impacts on habitat. Port Gamble Heritage Forest is a remarkable and well-utilized public resource. Its success is rooted in balance between access and conservation, recreation and stewardship, and the needs of multiple user groups. I would strongly encourage decision makers to continue engaging directly with the park as it is actively being used, especially during peak times and during community events. Experiencing the diversity of users and the level of care firsthand provides valuable context is difficult to capture in written comments alone. I support continued transparent dialogue about the future of this park, grounded in data, observed conditions, practical experiences. At this time, I would encourage caution around broad changes based on generalized claims that may not fully reflect the day-to-day reality of how the park is being used and cared for. Thank you for your time and continued stewardship of this important community asset.
Thank you, Matt. Up next is Aspen.
Hi everyone, my name is Aspen and I am 9 years old. I've been using the Port Gamble Park since I was 6. The park and Evergreen are one of the reasons I got into biking. It has a strong community of bikers that is unlike anywhere else in Washington. Hikers and bikers can easily share the trails like they do in Galbraith Mountain in Bellingham. A park should be inclusive and not exclusive. The hikers are trying to exclude my brother and me. We need more places where I can get together safely with my family and friends to ride bikes. Please don't take away my ability to ride Port Grimble. My mom has hiked there all her life and has not had a problem with the bikers. Thank you.
Thank you, Aspen, for your comments. Alan Marshall, you're up next.
Thank you. Hi, Alan Marshall. I have a small farm in Southworth. I've participated in a couple of different park board meetings recently. I'm also a newly minted lead steward. Yay. So I went through all the training and mentorship, shadowing, and even led a work party in Banner. So shifting a little bit of focus down to the south end of Kitsap for a minute. I'd like to first say, again, as I've done before, a big thanks to park staff, including I am going out on a walk in Banner with Aaron Bartleson tomorrow to do some cross-checking on various stewardship efforts. So thanks to park staff. My question and issue is this. At a recent park staff outreach meeting held at Long Lake County Park, hosted by Orrin a few weeks ago, I asked Irene Walker, I think it is, a question about how the community could be directly involved in the critical phase of the planning process referred to in the planning document as the assessments and monitoring. The answer wasn't completely clear, but it was basically interpreted by us as a no. So we would like to come back to that because we would like to reassert our interest in participating in those critical assessment and monitoring stage for a few reasons. One, we feel it is a great opportunity for the county to build trust with us by working with us. Two, we have extensive domain expertise to help. Three, waiting until after the staff collects and analyzes the data, we are simply reacting during the community input phase rather than helping create the proposals. So we would like to be deeply involved in that assessment and monitoring stage, co-partnering with you. For instance, knowing when staff that is doing the assessment and monitoring is visiting the parks so that we can learn and contribute since we know the park really well. We'd like to know what types of assessment and monitoring are being done. And we'd like to know when contracts might be put out to bid to facilitate those assessments and monitoring. So my ask and challenge, I think, to Alex or Irene would be, how can we get this done so that we have community input during the assessment and monitoring stage and not just reacting to a report after? Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. And up next, we have Marla Powers.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Marla Powers. I work as an environmental planner for the Port Gamble Squamish tribe. And I just wanted to state the tribe's interest in parks and want to be more, to integrate the tribal presence a little bit more in some specific parks, such as the Port Gamble Forest Heritage Park and the North Kitsap Forest Heritage Park, for example. And so I would look for any engagement opportunities, planning processes that are either in the works or on the horizon that I could engage with. And just to offer, this could be opportunities for joint restoration projects in the parks. The tribe does have a lot of staff and scientists who can help with assessments and monitoring, similar to what Alan was stating earlier in the South Kitsap. And we are actually doing some of our own monitoring streams and wetland areas. And we could add this to our list that we check on a regular basis. So there's hopefully some good opportunities where the tribes can help step in just in some of these park areas, add some of their presence and be more engaged. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Marla. Joe Lubisher.
Good evening. My name's Joe Lubisher. I think I put this comment under the topic of how to move forward, and I'll certainly agree with Mark's observation that the logging is having a big impact, and it's also going to generate a huge need for work and for expense. And the framework that was done for 3 years ago called for $50 million in expenditure or more, hardly any of that on the environmental or conservation, and maybe 0.5%. And I think moving forward, there's a need to back up on the planning and do what was not done the first time around. For example, some of the environmental analysis was based on logging units rather than some meaningful ecological units or watersheds, perhaps. I've spoken several times that the wetlands were pretty much ignored, and the fact that wetland and stream buffers were not even mapped at all. And there's also a concern, there's a large number of roads and trails in the park that fragment wildlife movement and habitat. And that needs to be analyzed and addressed. And that's, and looking at those things, we're going to start seeing that maybe some of the decisions like trail locations maybe weren't the best choices. When I see hardscaping in a stream or fill in a drainage or a trail going down an intermittent seep, somebody wasn't looking when those things were laid out. And part of the problem, it was pointed out that these trails were all sanctioned, and there is another side to that, and that's these trails, both before and after the county took ownership, were supposed to be in line with the critical areas ordinance. And when you don't have a valid mapping of your wetlands and your buffers, you're going to not notice. You put in a trail typically during the dry season, and then you have problems later on. So I think it's going to be real important to back up and do this basic environmental assessments and take another look at where some of these trails should or shouldn't be, what roads should be left, what roads should be decommissioned. And I see that as a necessary step in moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. And up next, we have David Williams. Are you there, David?
I'm here. I'm sorry I had to unmute. Apologize. Good evening. I'm David Williams, the Executive Director of the Washington Student Cycling League, and I'm an Olympia resident. Our league loves your park. I'll admit that. We currently have 725 students, 5th through 12th grade, registered for our spring season. We have 310 coaches, all with background checks, all trained to lead these young people. And we have raced at your park in 2023 and 2024. We had an amazing 2 weekends there, and we're hoping to come back this September. That was the plan. And we'll fill up your campgrounds, your hotels, your Airbnbs, and your restaurants. And I'm really proud that Steve and Matt both mentioned our Edmonds team. They were out there last weekend. I can't remember how many hours total they spent, but they were out there driving from Seattle to your park to work on a trail. And I just want to say that, our state is fortunate to have a world-class trail in your backyard, and we're fortunate to have a world-class organization like Evergreen to keep it up. And the final thing I want to say is the young lady that spoke a few speakers ago, Aspen, I really hope you join our league one day. Thank you.
Thank you, David. And what was that name? Peter Lindsay?
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see the unmute button there. Hi, thanks for letting me speak. I live here in Kitsap County. I'm an occasional user of the trails, probably equally using it as a hiker and as well as a biker. Ever since the first time I was introduced to those trails by someone on this call, in fact, I was absolutely enamored. I've enjoyed every foot of it in the company of other people. So the group that lovingly maintains these trails, I was just struck by how welcoming everybody has been, especially that group, the folks that, put the hours in and the time to enjoy it, but also work on it. I've never seen a conflict of any kind of trail usage, only positive interactions between the dog walkers and the hikers and the bikers. Especially love seeing the equestrians out there. It just reminds me of how special the place is for everyone. I love the fact that I can go to the park and not know if I'm going to ride or walk. I can make the call in the parking lot. These are two very different but equally beautiful experiences, and I love having that choice. The condition of the trails has always been wonderful, and that's not an accident. I've come to understand how many thousands of loving volunteer hours go into that, as well as some funds. So we always have a nice choice of pathways. It's worth keeping the funding going so the volunteer hours can be fully leveraged. I realize that there's two parts to that. So as everyone has said, the property is an absolute gem. We're lucky to have it. Everyone should be able to use it together and not exclude anyone. And I'd rather see efforts get put into raising awareness on trail etiquette and ensuring that everybody is aware of the little niceties and ways that, we can all be aware of each other and encounter each other in the trail in a great way, as I always have. So that's it. Thank you. And to the previous speaker, Melinda, hang in there. We hope you get better.
Thank you, Peter. Our last one is Brian Wells.
Hey there, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi there. So, thanks for letting me speak for a minute here. I've been in Paulsbo almost my entire life for 34 years now. That park up there has really changed my life in many ways. I spend almost 5 days a week out there as a minimum. Even started a business, Infinity Cyclery, off of the back of the community from that park, and they've been nothing but supportive. I can't thank enough, like Matt Blossom and those that are also on this call, for everything they've done to support that forest, us, and the whole community there. Whether you're on a bike, walking, doesn't matter. I use the park for biking. I'm not gonna lie. My wife uses it for primarily trail running, and that's all she does. And she doesn't run into anybody. She often makes comments that when she goes out there for like a 15-mile run, she'll run into maybe one or two people and she's nervous she's going to get lost. So how can you say that you're constantly, scared off?
Did we lose you, Brian? We can no longer hear you.
Hello, are you there?
Oh, now I can hear you.
Okay, I'm super sorry that cut out. I'll shorten it up a bit. But not once have I actually seen or heard any actual conflict between user groups. Not even within one of the user groups out there have I really seen any conflict. Um, every time you have hikers and bikers and equestrians and all of that, like colliding on some of the tighter trails that are out there, it's an instant drop everything and be respectful and let the right of way pass. I've never seen a problem out there, not once. Um, as far as the environmentalist complaints, you look at one trail that's being built and people are putting tons of volunteer hours into because they absolutely want this to happen. They love it. And there's so much backing it, even their own funding. And then you drop the shovel and you turn around and you go, wow, I can see Seattle from here. I mean, they've logged everything. How can you look at this trail behind me and be worried at the environmentalist conservation efforts when
I think you've cut out again, Brian.
Sorry, my microphone must be going out. I'm sorry about that. But as far as the rest of the trail maintenance, same thing. We all are out there and we're doing all this work, all this volunteer work with Evergreen, And that little bit of funding that they're given to help it go has been absolutely necessary. But when we are also asking, hey, can we maintain the rest of this trail network? Can we go outside the ride park and help repair and build the rest of these trails? And we often get told no, we're not allowed. Like, I mean, I've heard it from multiple of the actual trail builders. I'm sorry, Matt, to throw you under the table here, but you even mentioned to me, we can't go and work on the rest of these trails because the county won't allow us. And I go, as professional trail builders, you really can't go help the rest of the community work on their own, the rest of the park? So that's really my question. Why can't we help? We want to help more to make it fair for everybody, but I don't see that's possible. So thank you for listening. I'd love to just make the community work together a little bit better.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Chuck, did you tell me there was one more? Okay, one more. And then we're going to move on after Taj.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for letting me jump in and provide sort of the last comment here. I don't want to sound like a broken record here, but I do just want to give my piece on the Port Gamble Heritage Park and how it relates to mountain biking. Again, my name is Taj Patel. I'm a volunteer mountain bike instructor with Evergreen Mountain Bike Alliance here in Kitsap County. I really want to speak in support of continued mountain bike access to our trails, and more importantly, talk a little bit about the people behind the bikes. So over the last 2 years, I've volunteered my time to really teach people how to ride. And when I look at my students, I don't see one type of person. I see kids building confidence on their first real trail. I see adults in their 50s and 60s discovering a new passion. I see people of every race, every body type, every ability level, and all of them are showing up, pushing themselves, and falling in love with our outdoors and our woods. Just a little bit of background here. I grew up in California where honestly, mountain biking was overwhelmingly a white sport. Can't get around that. It wasn't always welcoming, especially for someone of Indian descent like myself. But really, what we've built here in Kitsap is honestly quite different. This community has been really open. It's super diverse and it's growing. And honestly, that didn't happen by accident. I really feel like it happened because volunteers showed up, maintained the trails, invited people who might have never seen themselves as mountain bikers. And honestly, removing or restricting mountain bike access just doesn't really affect just a hobby. It honestly pulls the rug out from under a community that is actively bringing underrepresented people into the outdoors. And that's not really a problem to solve, in my opinion. That's a success to protect. So I want to point out, much like the other folks today have mentioned, that our mountain bike community doesn't just use these trails, we maintain them. We've put hundreds of hours in volunteering, building sustainable trail systems that reduce erosion and benefit, honestly, every user group, hikers included. I don't think here that we're at odds with people who love these trails on foot. I think we honestly all share the same goal, getting more people outside and keeping our parks healthy and building something that our county can be proud of. And I think we're honestly getting there, if not have already got there. So I just want to really urge everyone, including the board, to protect mountain biking access in our community for what it is, really a force for good in our county. Thank you.
Thank you, Taj. And let's now move on to our special announcement. Yeah, that we have a new Park Advisory Board member.
We do. We were hoping he would be here tonight with us, but that's not the case. Tom Coleman has been appointed by Commissioner Walters to represent the Central District for Kitsap County. There's still one vacancy remaining in Central Kitsap for Commissioner Walters to appoint. Tom has a long history working with the Parks Department. He is a longtime steward at Newberry Hill Heritage Park, and hopefully he'll be at the April meeting.
All right, thank you. And then we move on into Parks report, our director's report.
Thanks, Don. So you all have the written report. We don't have any special topics or presentations this evening to go over. We're just going to do a basic summary of some of the highlights going on around the Parks Department as dictated in the director's report. The first item I want to recognize is a public event that that was held on February 25th at Long Lake Community Center. This was a opportunity. This was actually Commissioner Root's concept and idea that jointly working with the department, we crafted to have a kind of an open house event in which staff presented to the South Kitsap community a variety of topics of various parks and recreation related projects, events, and happenings that were associated with parks in the southern part of the county. We had 56 participants, I believe, or visitors. Staff ran through 7 different topics, and at the end, we had an open question and answer session with park staff as well as with Commissioner Root. It was seemed to be very positive and good opportunity for engagement with the community. And in all honesty, to share a lot of things in a way that the Parks Department doesn't get typically the opportunity to do. So that was good. Secondly, I want to introduce J.C. Brown to our Parks and Department family. J.C. was recently hired, as you all know. D. Tuttle departed us to go to a promotional opportunity with the Public Works Department. And we were lucky enough to steal J.C. away from her previous employer and get her to work for the Parks Department. JC's been with us for just a week now and has prior experience working in Kitsap County, also doing contracts and public disclosure request reviews and other support services for the department. She did this in the Human Resources Department in the past and now is transitioning over to Parks. So it'll be and has been a very smooth transition. So you will see more of her as she is also here supporting the Parks Advisory Board just as Dee did in the past for the meetings.
Thank you, JC. Welcome.
Welcome. So glad to have you on board.
Thank you, Linda. We have an exciting burgeoning partnership with Olympic College that has kind of started to craft and form over the last month or so. The Olympic College baseball program is looking for a new home field for practice, games, tournaments, etc. And they contacted the Parks Department and we are working together to utilize the Lobe baseball fields outside the windows of the Eagles Nest here. It is pretty exciting that this partnership could bring new people to visit the fairgrounds, attend games, and have college tournaments here in the future. Additionally, we are, just doing a facility rental agreement currently, but working towards a more long-term partnership that will include and assist with facility maintenance and possible capital investment in the facility as well. So still a long way to go to kind of craft what this agreement and partnership will look like, but it's exciting. And I will turn it over to Irene to talk on a couple topics, and then we will finish up with Carmen.
Hi, everybody. Just a couple things that are in the director's report from the natural resource side of things. We are in the process of hiring a wildlife ecologist in the final days of dotting I's and crossing T's with that. So that's very exciting to get that expertise on board. Other than that, what we've highlighted in the director's report this month is some education and outreach activities that natural resource staff have been doing over the past few weeks. We've been presenting on ecology and STEM careers to a couple different school groups, as well as leading a group of 20 other land managers and scientists from DNR, tribes, land trusts, other parks departments, other counties out to Port Gamble to take a look at the recently completed restoration project that we did out there. This group expressed interest in the work that we've been doing since they are doing very similar work on their lands and wanted to talk with us about lessons learned and see the work that we've been doing out there, which was very well received by that group. Additionally, we have been providing forest ecology education through WSU Extension and some of their stewards programs, including stream stewards. And we also did a creative outreach event with Bandit Theater, which is an improv comedy group in Seattle. Myself and the stewardship director from GPC, Great Peninsula Conservancy, presented on forest restoration and bird ecology to that group a few weeks ago. And a great time was had by all. And that is all I have for this month.
All right. Good evening, everybody. On the planning side of things, the big project we have underway right now is actually right next door at Gordon Park. We are beginning work on the Gordon Park Master Plan project. We've got a great consultant on board, Environmental Science Associates, and they've got a team of sub-consultants that they're going to be working with on this project. So right now we're really in kind of on the back behind the scenes side of things, a lot of information gathering, site analysis, and then on the front of house kind of thing, there's lots of engagement happening over the next 6 weeks or so. So March through April will be pretty heavy engagement. We're moving pretty fast on the project, but a couple of important events that we wanted to highlight are happening next weekend, Saturday, March 28th. We'll have a small workshop in the morning to a select invited group of folks with disabilities, and that will be led by our accessibility sub-consultant, and it will be looking to gather a diverse range of lived experience. We'll be going through the site, identifying barriers, and it's all designed to help inform an accessible design for the park plan. And then later that day, there will be sort of the traditional community open house, public meeting style in the afternoon. So we're really excited to have these kind of our first public meeting for the project. There will be more ways to participate, certainly throughout this heavy engagement portion of the project, but wanted to highlight that. Also in planning is the park impact fee study. So last month, the department released a request for proposal or RFP to bring in a contractor to conduct an impact fee rate study for us. The last time this was done was in 2003. So we are overdue and are excited to have an updated rate study for that. So we received 5 proposals. They're currently being reviewed by staff, and we'll bring this back once we have more information. On the capital project side of things, there's a few projects we wanted to highlight. Also at Gordon, as you probably know, we have been working on a project to replace the synthetic turf at Gordon 1 soccer field, and that went out to bid yesterday. So it was posted, it's live, and it will close on April 8th. So really looking forward to having that project getting underway. There will be a pre-bid site walk led by the project manager at Public Works next Wednesday. So that is something we're really excited about. Last or not second to last, the Eagle's Nest deck right outside here. You might have seen on your way in. It is getting really close and it's looking really great. There was a brief slowdown of the project, just of a temporary closure of the asphalt plant, but we are nearing completion. And the last project we wanted to highlight is in the north at Point No Point Park. The lighthouse there is, we have a project to replace the roof, the lighthouse. But unfortunately, due to federal funding with the U.S. Coast Guard, which the lighthouse is on Coast Guard owned property. They are only prioritizing life safety projects at the moment, which this project does not meet that standard. So we have encountered a delay on that project. Hopefully it won't be too long and things will be restored soon, but we don't have a timeline at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex, Irene, and Carmen for giving us some highlights of what's happening in the park. Let's do some district representative reports. Do we have anybody interested in sharing some interesting news?
I just wanted to hop on and say thank you to everybody who came to speak to us and speak to parks. And I know that everybody's schedules are busy, and truly appreciate everybody taking time to come and participate. And it really is, a group effort of everybody coming together to try to, make our parks the best that we can. So I appreciate it. But no report other than that.
Thank you, Jessica. And I wasn't paying attention who was first, so I apologize. Linda, or Linda, go ahead.
Sure. I've been one of the co-leaders of the Port Gamble Park Stewards for several years now. And it is, not just EMBA. It is not just walkers. It is not, it's mountain bikers of all different types and walkers and equestrians and all that have contributed to the Port Gamble Park. It is pretty disheartening to hear people get up who weren't part of the acquisition, who haven't been part of the maintenance, and ask that mountain bikers, I heard tonight, I believe that someone said they wanted the mountain bikers restricted to just the ride park, which is, 5 or 6% of that enormous park. Port Gamble is the largest county park in the state of Washington. Are we really going to move to that level of exclusionary-ism? And I'm a walker. I have been out there so many times, and you almost never see those conflicts. I've only seen one conflict and I've been out there since 2007. It's been almost 19, 20 years. And it is really disheartening to hear that kind of, it's all for me, it's all for mine. And this park was built by people working together cooperatively, respectfully. It was planned to be recreation and conservation. It wasn't one or the other. It's both. And it is just hard to hear the level of negativity. I also wanted to support, Mark Shorn mentioned the import of moving forward with the Port Gamble framework. The Port Gamble framework was developed with a huge amount of professional input and a huge amount of participation by the public. And that document is sitting there waiting. AEC members were very active during that project. Their voices were included, but they weren't the only voices. If they're concerned about the park management, let's get that Port Gamble framework adopted and move forward. That project talks about balanced uses. It leaves over 90% of the park in either passive use or conservation. It's really time for us to move forward and stop having this constant controversy and battle that's just tearing apart our community. That's all I have.
Thanks, Linda. And Jen?
Hi there. I would just echo, I would love to move forward or see the framework agreement adopted as well, because it sounds like that was a pretty thorough process for the Port Gamble Park. I've also personally never encountered a bad interaction between multiple users, and I myself have been out there in multiple different capacities. So um, we just wanted to echo that point as well. In terms of other parks across North Kitsap, I know we recently had a work party out at the Quiet Place Park that was led by our Kingston Public Trails and Open Spaces Committee lead, Mark Libby, Mark Libby. And a large group showed up for that, which was great to see. Those are organized on a monthly basis, and just kind of take care of all the Kingston parks, trails, and open spaces, as well as some of the Village Green parks and open spaces. I'm trying to also make sure that those get posted to some of the community calendars so that more folks know about those opportunities to engage with work parties, because I frequently hear from folks who want to participate more in those. So we'll be trying to make sure those are listed on the Village Green community calendar, as well as the Greater Kingston Chamber of Commerce community calendar. And then lastly, I just really enjoyed hearing from such a diverse group of users tonight in terms of ages and types of uses. And I think, I know it's hard sometimes to make these meetings in person or online due to the timing and, other professional and personal commitments. So really thankful for everyone that did show up. I'm also trying to be mindful of that as I meet with community members amidst the time that elapses between these meetings, and trying to make sure I hear from a diverse set of folks as well. I've been, invited to meet with folks and take walkthroughs of parks from people representing all types of interests, and I've taken up the invitation as many times as my schedule has permitted, and excited to continue that endeavor. In my first year on the Parks Advisory Board. So next week, I'll actually be meeting with the Kingston Youth Sports Association to hear from some of those user groups, which, as you can imagine, are some of the busiest users of open spaces, and oftentimes don't have the time to show up to something like this. So really excited to hear from them about their needs and desires in terms of park usage for their users. That's all.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I wanted to put a little shout out for Coulter Creek. I believe they are having the Mountaineers out to do a work party on Saturday. And so I wanted to thank all of the user groups that are engaging with parks to put together work parties, because it's the user groups that are keeping us going and keeping the trails open. So thank you all. Any other comments from Park Advisory Board members? Okay. Larry.
Well, hi there. I'm glad you mentioned that about the Mountaineers and everything. Just as
Or is it the orienteering group or the Mountaineers? I may have that wrong.
Oh, too late. I'm using the Mountaineers anyway.
Okay.
But no, I'm working on getting certified to be a stewardship leader for the Mountaineers too. So I'll be able to do stuff like that too. So anyway, and as for anything else in the South End, unless you want to hear me whine and complain about getting a new roof on my house, I got nothing.
All right. Thank you, Larry. And then our last section of our agenda is public comment. And I just want to remind people that our meeting does end at 8 o'clock. And out of respect for the volunteers and staff, we will be ending at 8. So if by chance we have too many comments, I apologize. We will be ending at 8. So anybody else in the room would like to comment? Please state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm David Onstead again at Port Orchard. I wanted to end on a positive note, as Linda suggested we do that. I wanted to remember the positive things that the stewards of the North Kitsap Heritage Park did for many years. And they worked really hard to come up with a stewardship plan for the North Kitsap Heritage Park. It came before the Parks Advisory Board and was approved. And then it went out for public comment, and the public reacted in a very positive way. And then it was sort of lost in the in the rest of the time. So it'd be fantastic in a positive sense that if we could bring that back and just have the commissioners vote for approval for that stewardship plan. I think that would be an indication that approval of these plans can actually move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone online? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I apologize.
Bradley Berry again. More of a question, maybe, than a comment. Trail building is done in the winter months here. You need the moisture to pack it in. That's rapidly evaporating our timelines to repair a lot of the damage from the logging. I don't know what is holding that up specifically. Excuse me, between the that agreement or plan that Linda and Jen referenced that needs to be approved, or if it's a different funding stream from the logging that happened that was supposed to match some volunteer hours. But there's a lot of groups that are putting their eggs in the basket for planning summer events here. And that's all kind of hinged on getting the park rebuilt and repaired from the damage. But as soon as the moisture's gone, we can't touch trails until the rain comes back. It's just too dry up there and sandy that the soil doesn't work. So that's all.
Thank you, Bradley. I'm just going to take a second, and several people have asked about how they can get information or different things. I want to say that Kitsap County has a wonderful communication email system. You can go onto their website and there's this whole long list of items that you can sign up for. Everything from road closures, parks and different sections about parks, the weed management board. There's just a ton of different emails, county informational things that you can sign up and get regular information from Kitsap County from. And then also encourage people that have questions, specifically questions about Kitsap County parks, send an email to Kitsap County Parks, and they have been incredibly responsive from what I have seen. So thank you. Is there anyone else in the room that would like to comment? Okay. Anyone online?
Dawn, I have my hand up.
Oh, okay, Linda, sorry.
So I was hoping that we could ask, I don't think I missed it, but I didn't hear the update on if there's any expected timing of the opening of the North Gateway in Port Gamble. And two, I needed to respond to what David Onsted's comments were about the North Kitsap Heritage Park. That plan was written by volunteers. It excluded handicapped access into that park permanently. It was found by other county planning staff to be overreaching because it was exceeding the critical areas ordinances and asking for greater setbacks than was allowed by county code. Under the Growth Management Act, you need to have different documents that are adopted by the county. There's a word that basically says they have to mesh together, and that document was not in keeping with county policies. So it was not adopted by the county and was dropped for those reasons. And there was a fairly substantial opposition to that document. So just wanted to clarify that perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Was there anyone online? Oh, Linda, is that up again or down?
No, that's down. Sorry.
All right, thank you. So just to clarify, we'll have some business from this meeting carried over to next meeting regarding approving our minutes from this meeting and discussing anything further there. Thank you all for attending tonight, and I appreciate everybody's comments. And I now see Larry has his hand up.
I was just going to make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, thank you, Larry. Do I have a second?
Can we have Alex respond on the Port Gamble North Gateway if we have timing before we adjourn?
Sure. Today they did the final inspection on the construction of the project. We are tentatively targeting May 2nd for a grand opening event with a soft opening prior to that. Once we get WashDOT to install a sign on Highway 104 indicating where the turnoff is and how to access the parking lot. That sign should be installed within the next couple weeks. And once we have that in place, we'll be looking to open the parking lot.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you.
Oh, Linda?
I'll second Larry's motion to adjourn the meeting.
Okay, I have a first and a second, or whatever that says. So I need to vote on this one, or are we just adjourned? Okay. All of those in favor of adjourning, please raise your hand. Okay, we have four of us.
I'll give you an eye.
And Larry, so we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.